Hello. So today we're going to tie a small trout streamer, but really I use them for carp, trout, smallmouth. Just got a lot of flow to it. Rides hook point up. You can add different types of weight to it depending upon how fast you want it to sink. I really like fishing this fly as a streamer upstream from me and stripping it back down. I just love the way it swims, so I don't add a lot of weight to it. I add enough, but I don't add enough to get a lot of big dives out of it. So hopefully we'll start off tying this guy. The hook is the 811S. I use a size 4. Make sure your vise is good and tight. You'll be moving this guy around, putting a fair amount of pressure on it with dubbing loops and whatnot. So the thread that I use is the Vivas 50 denier GSP. Just go ahead and get your thread started on there. Kind of get yourself in a good spot to put the eyes. The eyes that I use are just bead chain eyes. Sometimes I'll wrap a little lead on the body of the hook, but I don't usually use it that often. If I need to get down that far, I'll throw a sink tip on. So anyways, you're gonna look at your halfway point on the straight part of this hook, or the shank of this hook, is about right here. So when I started my thread, I went back to that halfway point, all the way up to the eye, and then halfway back again. What that does is just gives you as much of an anchor, I think, as you need, but an anchor of thread on the hook to keep it from pivoting too much while it's in there. And then go ahead and attach the eyes to the top side of the hook, because this is going to be an inverted fly. It'll ride hook point up that way, or at least that's the theory. If your first one doesn't, that's what you're aiming for. Just kind of a couple of crisscrosses, give it a little tighten, check with it. Alright, so now once you got your eyes on there, you're going to run all the way back to the beginning of the curve of the hook. That is where you're going to add, I add diamond braid on these smaller ones. If it's a bigger fly, I'll add UV polar chenille, but on the smaller, more trout fishing ones, I keep it smaller. And then you go ahead and wrap it. I used gold because I like the way it contrasts against olive. I also use silver and pearl, and I have a peacock colored one. It's up to matching the hatch, matching the streamers that you need to be throwing. So now we're at that point. You've got your body material wrapped up. You've given it a couple extra wraps of thread here. You're going to go to the low end. If you see the way this hair goes, I want to go to this end. This is where I got my material for the last one I tied, so I'll just cut that off. And then I will go and I'll cut this into a V, or to a point instead of a square tip. By removing that little piece of leather on each side, it thins down the side of the tail, so it gives the tail that last little bit of whip. It also repels water a little bit faster, or sheds water a little faster when you go to cast again. and it just tapers the body down so it looks like a natural animal instead of just being like a squared off back end. So you take that guy, you mark about 3/4 of an inch up on it, go ahead and release your vise, hold your hook real tight, and then you're just going to poke it right through the center of that leather. Then gather everything up away from your hook, put it back in your vise, and flip it over. What you want to do now is just kind of pull this rabbit strip taut. If it's too tight, it'll break eventually. But if you kind of just have it comfortably on there as the rabbit strips dry and get wet over, you know, the course of your summer or whatnot, just seems to have those tails last a heck of a lot longer. And then spread your deer hair, your rabbit strip, I got 4 wraps on there, I guess, making sure it's not going to go anywhere when I cut it here. Alright, so now you've got the rabbit strip on there. Now you're going to add the flash. The flash on this particular fly is just ice dub. You can, if you wanted to change it up, you could. I don't put a lot of time into these. I am right now, but you can crank these things out pretty darn quick. So when they go into a tree, it's not a big deal. When they get bitten off, it's not a big deal. Set yourself up a nice little dubbing loop. Grab yourself a decent clump. I got a small chunk over here from before, so you just grab it, separate it, and stack it a couple of times, and then lay it in between in your dubbing loop here. Slide her on up. Get her all brushed up. And you just want to wrap your wraps of this loop or your dubbing right, try to get them pretty much on top of each other, because you want to kind of conserve a little space there, but you want to also build up something that's going to push out the next collar and the rubber legs that we're going to add to it. Alright, so we got our little collar on there. Go ahead and pick that out. And you're going to grab a crazy leg. So what I do is I take the crazy leg. This is going to make 4 legs once they're doubled over. So I just take it, I wrap about an 1.5 inch section around it, go all the way across the top of the fly, and then leave that on my side. And cut them both even, and then wrap that remaining half of that crazy leg around there. So now it's been quartered once you connect it here. Tie it all in. Create another dubbing loop for yourself. This one's going to be zonker. And this one I'm going to do, I'm going to use the olive again that I used on the tail. Some flies look really cool with a different color. up in the front. You can do white with a chartreuse clump, or white with a red clump, or any of that. So just a point, I guess. You can use whatever colors you want. I'm going to grab this zonker strip again. It all wants to lean towards my hand, so I'm going to try to grab and then just pull down a little bit. And you're going to try to get about an inch captured between your fingers so that this leather strip sticks out. And then just go right down that leather strip. Looks like I might have gotten just a hair over an inch. Once it's captured, you're pretty safe. I mean, it will fall out if you were to try to make it fall out, but it's pretty decent. I like holding everything back with these little hair clips. It's nice because then you can do your spin. So your goal is here to separate everything out just enough to where it's going to be even when it goes on, and then to have most of the fiber towards the tips, a little shorter on this end. You can grab and pull it back out if you need to, and then set yourself up, get a good spin on it. And then brush it out. Hope you can see why these. You could even, at the right GSP thread, you could probably even spin a collar really nice out of deer hair. I haven't tried it yet, but and they're just so nice for working around these eyes. And I do about 1.5 wraps behind the eyes, across the top of the eyes, which is actually the bulk. Pack as much bulk into the head of this fly as I can. Alright, let's not forget, do a nice whip finish here, since we're trying to create a fly that's going to last a while. Sometimes there's the finish loop on there, then I can hold my thread out, paint a little super glue on there for maybe about 3/4 of an inch or so, and try to hold all your materials back again, and just put one more layer of thread, super glue, everything right on there. That way you've got the thread all covered up, you've got your tips of your materials all covered up, and they're all glued, versus just like one side. It's one of the things I like to do. I don't know if it makes that big of a difference, but there's your finished product. So again, this could be a fly somebody else has been tying for 60 years, but because I don't see them, and it's fun saying it. So there you go, a little bit of flash, light on the eyes. Like I said, you can add lead eyes. You can wrap the body of the hook, or the shank of the hook, with lead. You could put a cone in there and then put the eyes in front of it. All those things you can do to pack weight into these things if you need to. For the most part though, I really like very slowly swimming them down and across, or up and across and through log jams and stuff that a really heavy fly would sink into too fast, and I just would not have the control over it that I have with this fly. So there it is, right here in the tying video. And if you can make it to either the Badger Show on the 10th in Madison, Wisconsin, or the Great Water Show in Minneapolis on March 15th, 16th, and 17th, or 16th, 17th, 18th, I think. Then if you at the show special is $75 off your trip. So if you can make it, you can make it. If you can't make it, don't waste more than $25 for the gas trying to get there. Anyways, hope all is well. Cheers, have fun. Hopefully everybody's getting out and doing plenty of early season trout fishing. Have a good day. Bye.